As a two-term governor and mayor, Bill Haslam has been embedded in the politics and policy at local, state, and federal levels, from healthcare and welfare to pardons and free college tuition. His book, Faithful Presence, The Promise and the Peril of Faith in the Public Square, calls for that unique and redemptive role in politics. If I may, Bill?
Sure, please.
The public square, more of a fighting octagon. What has fueled that intensity?
Since our country's founders, there's been battles. But here's what's new. You can choose where you get news from a variety of places. You also can go on social media and talk to people who look and think and act like you do. So it's made all of us think not only are we divided, but we're mad and we're impugning bad motives to the other side as well.
There is the ongoing concern that American democracy is in trouble.
Right.
What concerns you most?
We've lost the desire for real dialogue. The subtext of the Constitution is there would have to be negotiation back and forth. Some of our folks think, the job is to play a senator on social media or play a governor on social media instead of I'm going to sit down with the other side and see if we can solve the problem.
What do Christians fear most, do you think, in what they're losing politically?
I think, unfortunately, a lot of us have become driven by fear. We look at the world around us changing really fast. Cultural norms are very different now than they were. It feels like we've gone from being the home team to the visiting team in about 3 decades. Paul writes, Beloved, I urge you as aliens and strangers. We worry more about losing our country than we do losing our God.
How has Christianity lost its standing as a faithful presence in public debate?
Okay, we're just as likely to send some flaming retort on the internet and say something that I would never say to your face. Jesus was really clear in the Sermon on the Mount. The message was be different. The salt is supposed to be different than the meat. The light is supposed to be different than the dark. And we're not. We're acting just like everyone else. And if the salt has lost its saltiness, it's good for nothing except to be thrown out. We're not holding up our end of the deal, and the consequences aren't great.
Describe the difference between thinking biblically about our politics and thinking politically about our faith.
Well, I think a lot of us have come to define truth by what we think politically, and faith is going to follow what I believe. And so somehow we think that the biblical injunctions about how we're supposed to act don't apply to politics. They apply everywhere else, but politics, it matters too much. The ends matter so much that the means are okay, even if they're not biblical means.
Christians in the public square, what should the reputation be?
James writes about earthly wisdom and wisdom that's from above. And so if it's wisdom that's from above, that should be what we're known for, right? Christians as open to reason, impartial, sincere, pure, gentle, full of mercy. I don't think many people would agree with us, unfortunately. They'd say, no, they're pretty strident.
Politics is a blood sport in a contentious culture.
Yeah.
How then do the meek compete?
Meek does not mean weak. Jesus says, blessed are the meek, because those are folks who understand that we're not perfect, that we enter the public square the same way we enter our homes and our businesses as imperfect, broken people.
What can the church bring to the public square, altogether absent from politics?
We can bring some unique gifts to the public square. We can be and people, truth and love, mercy and justice. Change the conversation. We've been given the spirit of humility, and if we'll just act in that, hear humility out of someone and go, wow, that's a lot more enticing and persuasive than being yelled at. We should look to have words that are persuasive and winsome, that actually would change people's minds.
The thirst for power and self-promotion comes with the territory. For the divine mandate of genuine servant-minded management.
Right.
Has narcissistic leadership been overlooked or unconsidered within spiritual leadership?
I think the problem is a real one. We see the issues all the time, and they manifest themselves in different ways. At the heart of a lot of that, I think, is a narcissism thinking, this story is about me, and God can't pull this off without me. I think we're paying the price for it in terms of the image of our faith every time that happens, and in terms of the effectiveness. Christians are called to self-sacrifice, which is really different than self-actualization. And we're infected with it too. And so I think the call might be stronger now than it's ever been.
Former Governor Bill Haslam, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me come.
The governor's book is called Faithful Presence, The Promise and the Peril of Faith in the Public Square, and it's available wherever books are sold, and you can get a copy, and I hope it's a blessing for you.
Absolutely.